The rain fell steadily, a relentless drizzle that wrapped the streets of London in a shroud of grey. Tom sat behind the wheel of his cab, a master of the night, the city's secrets pulsing around him like a heartbeat. The night was ripe for harvest. His first passenger, a young woman with a flurry of tangled hair and a face illuminated by the glow of her phone, hailed him down. Tom swung open the back door with a friendly smile, his palm brushing lightly against her shoulder as she climbed in. "Where to?" he asked, glancing in the rearview mirror. "Just take me to Camden," she replied, her voice breathy, still focused on her screen. Tom nodded, engaging her in light conversation as the cab rolled into the night. He learned she was a struggling artist, chasing dreams in a city that thrived on the dreams of others. "You know," he said, his voice warm and inviting, "I once learned the power of saying your own name out loud. It's like a magic spell, I tell you. Try it. Just scream it out. It can change everything." Her laughter was a soft chime, infectious, and Tom feigned a smile, pretending to be a little deaf as he leaned closer. "Come on, give it a try. What's your name?" "Ella," she shouted, her voice echoing against the cab's interior, vibrant and alive. As they approached her destination, he could feel her essence starting to shift, her spirit dimming slightly. "Thanks for the ride, Tom," she chirped, oblivious, stepping out into the rain, unaware of what she was leaving behind. He parked the cab, letting the silence settle around him. The magic was in the routine. The cab's back seat became his arena, the arena where he would sit in her spot while checking the clock. 30 minutes later his clock played a subtle alarm, and he smiled softly to himself. The night was young, and he had 3 more passengers to collect. He goes back to the driver's seat. The second ride came swiftly, a man with disheveled hair and a thick jacket, clearly in a hurry. As he slid into the back seat, Tom leaned in, his palm grazing the man's arm in a casual gesture. "Where to?" "Oxford Street," the man huffed, his eyes flitting around as if expecting trouble. "Long night, huh?" Tom commented lightly, but the man simply nodded, lost in his own world. Tom launched into another fabricated story, painting a picture of his own struggles with self-worth, cleverly guiding the conversation towards the importance of asserting one's identity. "Have you ever tried yelling your name? It's empowering." After some convincing, the man complied, a bit annoyed. "Alfred!" the man shouted, his voice cutting through the stale air. A fleeting moment passed, but in that instant, Tom felt the connection tighten, his heart racing. He hid a little moan escaping his mouth. "Thanks for the ride, Tom," he murmured, stumbling out into the mist, leaving behind a faint residue of his spirit. In a rush, Tom parked again, running to settle into the warmth of the man's seat. The process was soothing, a ritual he had perfected. Each passenger left a piece of themselves, and as the cab stood silent, he became a vessel for their life force. The night deepened, each tick of the clock resonating in harmony with the rhythmic hum of the city. His third passenger arrived, a very famous politician, but also a frail older gentleman, his shoulders hunched under the weight of years. Tom opened the door and helped him in, the palm of his hand resting on the man's back, igniting the familiar energy flow. "Good evening, sir. Where to go tonight?" "Just a few blocks down," the man replied, his voice soft, trembling with age. Tom wasted no time, launching into his motivational spiel. "Can you teach how politicians yell their own names with that super-specific politician voice? Can you show me?" "I'm James, vote for me," the man shouted, the name rolling off his tongue without hesitation, fingers in sign of victory. The response was immediate. Tom felt a wave wash over him, the rush of life flowing through his veins as he maneuvered the cab through the bustling streets. "Thanks, young man," the gentleman croaked as he stepped out into the night. But Tom knew that the man's vitality had already begun to slip. leaving him a little weaker, a little more lost. Another drop in the bucket. Another piece of the puzzle is complete. As Tom parked the cab, he turned the radio and sat where the gentleman was minutes later. The news on the radio told about a sudden stroke that hit the politician in that moment. A satisfied smile crept across his lips. The old man didn't have much remaining for him after all. The fourth passenger arrived, his demeanor radiating confidence. He stepped into the cab with a sly grin, the kind of grin that hinted at something deeper, something dangerous. Anyway, Tom touched his shoulder while helping him get into the cab. "Where to?" Tom asked, intrigued. "Take me to the West End," the young man replied, his voice smooth as silk. As they drove, Tom felt an unusual energy crackling around him. This had a lot of life to spare. Tom went into his usual motivational bait. "You know," he said, "I once learned the power of saying your own name out loud. It's like a magic spell, I tell you. Try it. Just scream it out. It can change everything." "I know your game, cabby," he said, a smirk playing on his lips. "You think you can just sit there and suck the life out of everyone, don't you?" Tom's heart raced. "I don't know what you mean." "Spare me the act." The man leaned closer, eyes glittering. "I'll indulge you, darling, and scream my name, but you're in for a surprise. You see, I'm no ordinary passenger." Tom narrowed his eyes, the tension shifting in the cab. The man laughed, a rich, resonant sound. "I want to show you what true power feels like."
"Highgate,"
he shouted, the name tearing from his throat. But instead of feeling the usual surge of energy, Tom felt the tide turn. The air thickened, and he could feel the weight of the man's gaze as it bore down on him. He felt like a cub under the gaze of a predator. The man's smile widened. "Tell me your rules. The longer I sit here, the more I can drain from you. We have a lot of time to spend together, and I love scary stories." Tom was mumbling, his mind racing, but the fear was too heavy. He started to explain his rules. "Physical contact is necessary to establish the connection between myself and the target. By shouting their name, they unknowingly offer up their essence, unlocking the energy I need to drain. The target must pause, resting their body for a period of time to allow the process to unfold. I must take their place, sitting where they rested, to continue the energy transfer and fully drain their vitality from a distance." Highgate clapped his hands, amused with Tom's cunning. In an instant, he removed the weakened Toms from the driver's seat, forcing him to the side. Tom felt his energy siphon away, his own life force dwindling as the stronger vampire took his place, filling the cab with a dense, oppressive energy. "What are you doing?" Tom gasped, feeling weaker by the second. "Just assuming the ride," the man said, eyes glimmering with malicious delight. "And you, my friend, are about to be drained dry." The rain continued to fall outside, washing away the remnants of the lives he had collected, as Tom understood that the game he had played had come full circle. In the hands of a true master, he was nothing more than a fleeting memory, a lost breath in the endless night.